This is Will Nunziata, New York City-based director and creator of theater, television, and film. And today I am thrilled to be speaking with the acclaimed teacher for humanity. He does it all. He's a podcast host. He's a teacher. He's a mentor. He's an overall inspiring human being of the planet, the one and only Oliver George Cartledge, joining from the UK. Hello, Oliver. How are you?
I'm great. How you doing?
Oliver, doing so much better now that I'm finally speaking with you. I know that you're usually in my chair doing the asking, so this must be a little weird for you, but you're in good hands, I promise you. Oliver, I want to know first and foremost, for those who don't know, your story is actually quite incredible. You were diagnosed at a young age with Tourette's syndrome, and for many years you were medicated by doctors. And with the advice of the doctors, your parents continued to medicate you. But it was soon thereafter you had a spiritual awakening. And then I want you to pick up the story from where I just ended, my friend.
Yeah, so when I was 12 years old, I was put on medication for Tourette's under my parents' guidance, was on medication until 21 years old. At that point, I was becoming a child to an adult. I was depending on my father less. I was isolated. I had no friends. I just left college. Everyone else was going to uni, and I was just lost in my mind. I had all these questions. There was so much more to life than what I've been told in the system and at school. And then I came across a secret, and it was called the law of attraction. And then once I learned the law of attraction and the secret, I realized it wasn't just me with all these thoughts, and there were so many people out there who also knew it. And under watching these people and mentors and teachers say the same thing that I'd always known in my head, I had to come off the medication to free my mind, to raise my energy. And then I meditated for 3 weeks straight, so I didn't allow any new thoughts coming into my brain because I knew they just wouldn't end. And so I stopped new thoughts coming in. I'd worked out all the stuff in my head growing up since like 12 years old that I couldn't work out. Didn't have enough brain power. And then for the first time ever, I was in a still, motionless mindset, silence, bliss, peace, heaven. There was just nothing, no thoughts. For the first time in my life, it was like going from being blind to seeing, from black and white to color, and everything made sense. Everything was clear. Everything just became clear.
It's amazing, Oliver. And the fact that, and you go into your story, and I want to let the audience know, for more on the amazing Oliver, you can read more about him right below this video, that when you stopped taking the medication, it was like your brain actually started to move again. And that with your law of attraction mindset, you were able to almost activate the vibrations and attract ease within the dis-ease, because you were probably told your whole life that the disease was caused by disease, when in fact you had the power all along. And you not only, my friend, changed your life, you're changing others. Talk to me a little bit about how the idea of Talk with Oliver, your spiritual awakening podcast, which is #1, you have, my goodness, I mean, you can tell the audience, you have so many subscribers on it. Talk to me about how the idea of Talk with Oliver came about, where you not only, you beyond helping yourself, you're now helping so many.
So I realized that part of healing is to talk your feelings out loud. And so I used to keep it inside because of the medication used to suppress any emotion. I never used to cry, couldn't say sorry, couldn't speak to girls. I couldn't just be me. And every time I speak to new people, I would just like splutter and mutter, and I couldn't look at them in the eye, and I go back inside. So all this energy was suppressed for so long. And so as I was getting older, my dad was the only person that listened to me waffle on about my thoughts and how I saw the world. And of course, he was like me. He had all these thoughts growing up and he got through it, but he knew that I would get to where I was trying to be, and he couldn't do anything for me apart from listen. He knew he could only listen. And eventually I would get there. And so he was like, write a book. I used to spend like 3 hours talking to him or talking at him every night. Just, Dad, have you heard about this, Dad, this, just everything. He's like, yep, I know. I just wear myself out. I just fall asleep on the floor talking to him. And then I realized I've got so much in my head. Everyone's got the same problem. We're just trapped within ourselves. What can I do? Can I write a book? And I thought, no, podcast. I can talk out just freely. Anyone can listen to me anywhere in the world. Middle of the jungle, train, in space. They don't need Wi-Fi. Could just download it. And they can listen to this wisdom that, as far as I'm concerned, anyone has the ability to tune into. Jesus, Monk, Buddha, Gandhi, all great human beings. They all knew the same stuff. I'm just the modern version of Jesus, preaching the same thing, but a little bit more modernized than Jesus had back in his day. And I realized through doing my podcast, people say, I don't have to purposely teach. I just have to talk about my experience and my thoughts. And people are like, wow, I think the same. Oh my God, yes, you think like that too. I can't get down a pub and talk like this. But what I'm saying resonates with them. It's like everyone's thinking the same thing, but no one's talking about it out loud.
Well,
And yet
this
I'm
is what
creating this.
and no, sorry to interrupt, but this is what I love about you. And I've listened to a lot of your podcasts, is that you're talking about things that a lot of people probably are hearing in their own little voices or gut instincts, and you're bringing it to the surface. I mean, talk about someone who was by the control by outside forces, you couldn't control these things being suppressed. But now that when you had your awakening, everything's opened up. It's I feel like the floodgates of your bliss were let go. And here you are helping millions now. And on top of that, Oliver, I want to know, beyond Talk with Oliver, I want you to talk about some of your ideas going into 2022, expanding your brand. But again, I say your brand, and I know in the world today, people think, oh, this guy just wants to make, no. When I say your brand, I mean your awakening, your knowledge that you're going to be able to spread. How do you feel you are going to be able to expand that going into 2022?
So what I've realized is that through simply connecting to myself all the time, I do ice baths, I go to bed at the same time, I fast, I get a full night's sleep, I've got a strict diet, I never do anything negative to anybody. Through doing all of these things, that only serves me. By talking about it, others just have to do the same thing and it will serve them. I'm just tuning into basically the basics of humans and basics of nature. I'm not doing anything different. I'm just practicing what I'm preaching, but leading an example by doing it myself. Whether others are listening or doing it, that's besides the point, because I'm doing this and it's doing such goodness to me that others are seeking the same goodness. They will naturally start to gravitate towards, wow, how is he always so happy? How can you just sit in a nice bar for 5 minutes? How can you meditate for half an hour? Who goes on a walk late at night, talks to owls, yeah? Who fasts for 18 hours and then has nuts and olives and salmon and egg for lunch, and that's it. And they see, if everyone's seeking happiness, I just have to do what he's doing and he's happy. And it really is that simple. Just
Yeah. It's like you went back to basics, Oliver. I mean, look at you, obviously were handed a deck of cards that you didn't ask for. You then were handed another deck of cards of medication and things that, you later found out weren't serving you. But the fact that now more than ever, people have been forced to live in isolation because of this pandemic, be still. I feel like it's like lightning in a bottle moment for you, that it's almost as if you were meant to be in the moment where you're at with your platform that you've created from nothing, to talk to the people out there who have been forced to be still and forced to look within and really question, what is my purpose? And I just think that it's like a perfect timing moment for you and your calling. Do you feel that way as well?
yeah, so I started this podcast literally just after or before coronavirus became a real thing.
Really? My
So
goodness, talk about.
so when everyone else, I lived in London and then I had to move back home basically. And then the coronavirus happened and I was like, what the hell am I going to do? And then I realized podcasts. And so I just started to reach out to people and just start talking about open stuff. And then I started to narrow down to what I actually am all about, which is this connecting to the deepest part of myself and then putting it out there and others connect to. So I'm just in my bedroom recording after recording after recording and doing a podcast. Everyone else can't work. Everyone else is working from home. And I'm nothing. It was like the coronavirus didn't even exist because I was just doing my bedroom, talking to people and putting it out there and doing the same thing. And outside world didn't have any relevance. But as you said, people are forced to do nothing and sit still. That they had nothing else to do but listen to podcasts and YouTube stuff. So it came at the perfect time.
Well, listen, Oliver, I could speak with you all day, frankly. I want to let our audience know, for more on the incredible Oliver George Cartledge, you can read more about him right below this video. Oliver, I'm so excited you're also coming on board this new social media app, FENIX360. I've spoken with over 1,000 artists all over the world, all different languages, backgrounds, creeds, disciplines. And if there's one thing that I can say is the through line with every single artist I've spoken with, is their need to connect now more than ever. And if there's anyone out there who is talking about this need to connect with not only others, but connect with themselves in a higher power. That whether you're, like you said, Catholic, Buddhist, Hindu, whatever, to lead into go back to basics is something that is so clear in your messaging, Oliver. I've never met anyone like you. I commend you for being so unapologetically authentic and vibrant and knowledgeable. And I'm just so grateful that our paths are crossed as well.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.